everyone, my name is Shelby. Welcome back to my channel, Grace with Books. Today I'm going to be doing my first book haul of 2021. This is a pretty massive book haul, and I don't normally do book hauls on my channel. I just don't tend to buy books in big chunks, and then most of the time I honestly forget. But with the holidays just having passed and some people sending me books and Barnes & Noble gift cards, which I then used immediately, I do have quite a lot of books to share with you guys today, and I'm actually really excited about it. I think this might be the third book haul I've done on this channel. I literally think I've done one a year. I know I did one in 2019. I did the quarantine book haul in March of 2020, so yeah, this will be my third book haul. I'm hoping to do more this year just because I like sharing the books that I get with you guys, so hopefully I'll remember to do that more this year. But that being said, I've gotten a lot of books recently from a bunch of different places, so let's get started because there are a lot that I'm super excited to share with you. So the first two books that I want to share with you guys are from Fairy Loot boxes. I am a Fairy Loot subscriber. I absolutely adore Fairy Loot, and I'm not being sponsored at all to say that. I just genuinely love their bookish boxes, the items that they have in it, and their book options, so really love Fairy Loot. The first one that I have here is the book in the November box, which was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This was released in November 2020 and is a 1920s Shanghai-inspired retelling of Romeo and Juliet. I actually recently finished this one. It was my first book of 2021 and I gave it 4 stars. I thought that the set and the plot were just so imaginative, and it was such a lush retelling of a story that basically everyone knows. We follow 2 heirs to rival gangs. So you have Juliet Kai, who is the heir to the Scarlet Gang, and Roma Montagov, who is the heir to the White Flowers. Something happened between them in the past. They used to be friends, but now they are enemies. But when a mysterious paranormal threat starts threatening the citizens of their city, Roma and Juliet must learn to work together to stop the threat. I loved this book, and I cannot believe Chloe Gong, who wrote this is her debut novel, and she's an undergrad in college, so I feel wildly unsuccessful right now. But it was just such a fun book, so if you like twists on Shakespeare's stories and enemies to lovers, that kind of stuff, I think you will really enjoy These Violent Delights. So the next book that I have is from the December Fairy Loot box, and that would be Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. Now, I don't know much about this book, but I am kind of getting Six of Crows vibes. I know it's about a thief who wants to find these ancient relics, but it turns out I think that the relics are people, and he has to find these people to get a reward or something like that. So really don't know much, but it is a really beautiful book. It has the red sprayed edges, and I think there's inside the cover art. Yeah, so it has this beautiful silver embossing and then just some art on the inside, as most Fairy Loot editions do. So I'm pretty excited to read this. I really like Six of Crows. I kind of like that group story dynamic, so we'll see how it turns out in this book. So yeah, super excited to read this one. So the next 4 books that I have were gifted to me by some of my friends in the book community. Thank you guys so much. I will link all of their channels and stuff down below. Whenever I get gifted a book from Amazon, I always like to put the note in the book that they gave me, so I always remember who got it for me. So the first 2 books are from my friend Erin from Ripley's Reads. She is awesome. I absolutely love her. We FaceTime all the time, and she's just a really great person you should check out. But she got me Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles and The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. So Where Dreams Descend is one that I've had on my radar for a while now. I know it's about a bunch of magicians competing to win this headliner position at the circus, and I'm pretty sure it kind of is like the night circus where you have 2 people battling it out for the prize. And I also kind of get Caraval vibes by Stephanie Garber, and I think if this book is anything like those 2, I will definitely enjoy it. And I've heard a lot of praise in the book community about this one, so I'm super excited to pick it up. It's just such a stunning book. I mean, look at the inside. Look at that design right there. It's so beautiful. Ugh, I'm really excited to read this one soon in 2021. The second book that Erin got me, The Girl in the Tower, is the second book in Catherine Arden's Bear and the Nightingale series. I think it's called the Winter Night Trilogy. I read The Bear and the Nightingale in December and I absolutely loved it. It was just such an atmospheric winter read, and I think we continue the story in this book, so I'm really excited to check this out. I've heard great things about this series as a whole, and I'm hoping to get to this while it is still winter, just because this entire series seems like the thing you should read curled up with a fire and a hot cocoa. So definitely planning to pick this up soon just so I get that nice atmosphere while I read it. The next book that I have here is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett, and I got this from Mary Among Stories. By the way, if you ever need some good classics recommendations, she is the person to go to. I absolutely love hearing her atmospheric classical reads, and her videos are just so pretty, so be sure to check her out. Even the Darkest Stars follows Kamzin, who all her life all she has wanted to do is be one of the royal explorers, and when this really famous explorer comes to visit her town, he asks Kamzin to accompany him on his next expedition. I have heard amazing things about the world building in this book and the atmosphere, and I think it's just going to be such a fun and cozy read. I've just heard great things about this book and I've wanted to read it ever since I learned about the plot, and it's just such a pretty book too. I mean, look at that cover. That just oozes winter vibes. So I'm really excited to read this very soon. And thank you so much again, Mary. The final book I have that was gifted to me is from one of my best friends in the book community, Sadie from Sadie Joyful, and that would be The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson. I've been wanting to dive more into middle grade for a really long time now. I recently read Green Glass House and a few other middle grades in 2020, but I really want to get into it in 2021. And Sophie Anderson, I've heard, writes beautiful middle grade fantasy stories. So this one, I think she has another one called The House with the Chicken Legs, which is a Baba Yaga retelling. But this one just looks so magical. It's about a girl who finds herself slowly transforming into a bear, and she has to go search for answers about her past and what she is becoming. I think she was like left in a bear cave as a child where the town discovered her. This just seems like a really magical story that I'm really looking forward to. I heard it has also beautiful illustrations in it, so I think this is just going to be such a fun book to read, and I'm really looking forward to starting to read Sophie Anderson's books, because that is one of the goals of the year for me, is to read more middle grade, and I'm just really excited for this one. So the next book that I have here is an ARC from Entangled Teen, and I think this was released in December, and it is A Curse of Roses by Diana Pinguicha. I'm so sorry if I said that incorrectly. Basically, A Curse of Roses follows a princess named Ysabel who is not only suffering because her kingdom is starving because there's a great famine, but she's also suffering because she herself cannot eat, because every time she touches anything, it turns to flowers. So Ysabel must set off to find this enchantress named Mora and set her free so that she may reverse the spell. I believe Mora and Ysabel start to catch feelings for each other, but that is considered treason because Princess Ysabel is also currently betrothed to the King of Portugal. So I believe it's like forbidden romance, magic, curses, basically everything that I love, and I'm super excited to finally read this. So the rest of the books on this list I have bought with my own money or with gift cards that were given to me over the holidays, so let's dive in because there's a bunch. First up, we have This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. This is a New Year's Eve inspired romance. I actually already read this. This was my last book that I read of 2020 because I thought it would be fitting to end 2020 with a book about New Year's Eve, and it follows a girl named Minnie who is kind of down on her luck, and she blames it all on this guy she's never met before named Quinn. You see, both Minnie and Quinn were born at the same hospital on the eve of 1990, but Quinn was born first, which means his family won a bunch of money for him being the first baby born in the new decade. And now Minnie has this superstition that he kind of sucked all the luck out of her life, and she kind of lives in fear of her New Year's Eve birthday, where things always seem to go wrong for her. But one fateful New Year's Eve party, she actually meets the guy that she kind of has blamed all of her misfortunes on. And Quinn is not exactly what she's had pictured in her mind all this time. And it follows them as they keep meeting up during this one year, with fate seemingly pulling them together. This was by no means a serious romance. It was by no means something that I would consider like amazing, like pure perfection romance. This was just a fun, cheesy romance. So if you're in the mood for like a very rom-com book that is light and airy, I highly recommend this one. I think I chose this to end out 2020 because I wanted to end the year on a light and fluffy note. It had been so dark, so this was kind of perfect for me to end the year with. So if you're looking for something purely fun, this is a great choice. The next book is a pretty popular one that has some mixed reviews, I believe, and that would be The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is the author of The Night Circus. I loved The Night Circus, so I'm hopefully gonna enjoy The Starless Sea. I think it has to do with secret societies and a lot of literary references. I watched a few people vlogging their experience reading this, and I think it has to do with like underground chambers that lead to other worlds. I'm not sure. I know this can be really confusing to some people, but I've heard a lot of people say that if you love books and stories and kind of unconventional stories, that you will also enjoy The Starless Sea, and I do love all of those things, so I have really high hopes for this one. Yeah, and I love Erin Morgenstern's writing, so I hope that rings true with this book as well. Next up, we have Crazy Stupid Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams. As you guys know, I am obsessed with this series. Her first book, The Bromance Book Club, was my favorite romance of 2020. I thought The Undercover Bromance, which was the second book, was okay, and I actually just started this one last night and I am loving it so far. So each book in this series follows a different member of this bromance book club, and in this book we follow Noah, who is kind of like a hacktivist computer genius, and he is stuck in the friend zone with the girl that he loves. So the bromance book club give him a book to help him get out of that friend zone. I'm only a few chapters in, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's going to be a really interesting read, and I just love Lyssa Kay Adams' writing, so I'm super excited to see where this one goes. The next book that I got recently is The Brightest Night by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the third book in her Origin series. The Origin series is kind of based on her Lux series, but you can read this series without having read her other books. In this universe, humans know that aliens exist, that they live among them, and there are a lot of anti-alien government programs out there trying to eradicate them, and it follows this girl named Evie who accidentally gets tangled up with this other alien named Luke, and it's just a great paranormal story if you love aliens and romance and adventure, and if you love Jennifer L. Armentrout. I know that a bunch of people have recently discovered her writing due to From Blood and Ash, so if you want to check out another series by her, check this one out. I think it's fabulous. I love her writing so much. She's definitely one of my favorite authors of all time. So this is the third book in her series, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was such a brilliantly written book, and I am literally counting down the days until the next one comes out. I have 3 more books, so bear with me. Next, we have The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. This is also a book that I finished recently. I got it a few weeks ago, I believe, and I like to describe this book as The Handmaid's Tale meets The Lord of the Flies. If those two books had a child, it would be The Grace Year. This follows a girl named Tierney, and in her county called Garner County, all the women are sent away on their 16th birthday to go into the forest and expel their magic before they are allowed to come back into town and be married. This society has very strict roles for women, with laws dictating how they dress, how they act, how they talk to each other, but during the Grace Year, all the women are just left out in the forest to fend for themselves for this 1 year, and not all of them survive. Tierney goes into the Grace Year kind of being skeptical about the idea that women have dangerous magic within them and need this year to expel it. But as she goes into the Grace Year, she notices that not everything is quite as the county has told them. When I read this, I definitely did not realize it was a horror book. I looked at the genres after I was reviewing it and I was like, oh shit, it is definitely scary at times. And it was just chilling. It was just like this terrifying commentary on sexism and the way that women treat each other. So if you are looking for a book that terrifies you but also leaves you thinking about women's role in society and how it's evolved, then this is a great book. On a bit of a lighter note, I also recently bought A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. This is the second book in the League of Extraordinary Women series. Basically a bunch of historical fiction romances about women in the suffragettes who are fighting for women's rights in Oxford, but also finding some love along the way. I absolutely adored Bringing Down the Duke, and this is the second book in the series following another one of the women. I did not realize when I read the first book that it was going to be a new adult spicy romance, so the covers are a bit misleading on that front, but they are new adult. I thought the romance was so well done in the first book, and I'm really excited to see how it's done in this one. The final book that I have for this haul is one I am super excited about and one I've been anticipating for a while, and that would be The Midnight Library by Matthew Haig. Or is it just Matt Haig? It's just Matt Haig. The Midnight Library follows a place called the Midnight Library where you can read about your life. But you can also read about your life if you had made different choices or gone on different paths. Specifically, we follow a girl named Nora who, after suffering, I believe, a great loss, goes to the Midnight Library to kind of look at how her life would have been if she had taken a different path. This book has gotten such rave reviews. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be as short as it is, but I think it's going to be such a wonderful read. I'm actually buddy reading this in February with two of my really good friends, Sadie and Delancey, and I am so excited to read this with them. I think it's just going to be such a great book, and I think it'll warrant such great discussions, so I'm super excited to pick this up. And that was my first book haul of 2021. I am not going to attempt to lift all of those books because they're just kind of scattered around me right now and I don't want to lift them up, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've recently gotten any books, please leave them down below. I would love to hear what your recent purchases were, and it will also make me feel better about my book buying habits. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit the notification bell to get updates on when I post. I post every single week. Don't forget to check me out on social media, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys, love you!